Hi, Amelia. Yeah, there's a bit of a mystery here in Apple Valley because 24 streetlights look just like the ones back there. And I'm pretty sure you can tell those are shining purple tonight. But why? People are wondering. So we found out.
So just so you know, in the United States, we have more surveillance cameras per capita than China, per capita.
Wow.
So we're not just talking about what you have out in the streets that we can see. And I do advise everybody start looking up. Look up around you. You'll be shocked about, I think every week I'm seeing more cameras, more towers going up, and strange little devices attached to them. I feel like I'm watching prison go up around me. And sure enough, I got that verified a couple weeks ago when I talked to a tech entrepreneur. His name is Aman Jabi. He actually made a lot of money in the business of optogenics, which is the light frequencies and pulses coming from cameras, also facial recognition in the cameras. He's worked with government as well. And he actually started to see about 3 years ago, or the realization came to him that everything that he was working with, everything that the industry was working with was actually all to harm us, all of it. And he was so disgusted because he has a family. He left and he moved to Montana and he started to talk about this. And I knew a lot about it, but what I didn't know was about the LED lights, especially the blue purple ones that maybe some of you have seen. I started seeing this about a year ago. I left a Clay Clark event in Michigan. And then when I left at night, this whole highway was flooded with them. And I think it's not safe for us to drive cars with these blue purple lights in our faces. And I knew there had to be a meaning to it. And so when I was talking to Aman, he was saying, well, these lights are different than the light that comes from our, let's say, our cell phones coming at us, because when they're using lasers, but then they use a diffuser so that when it goes out, about 30,000 spots in your face are indicated, 30,000, but it's diffused, so it's not as irritating as well. He said, these don't have diffusers. These are really harsh on our eyes and not good for us to be around in general. But then he said, yes, they are putting them up. I've seen them in Atlanta airport, and it's kind of funny. They'll put 2 up overnight, and then you might go there a week later, another 2 are up, and they do it really slowly. So now they're flooded, but no one's asking questions because they did it over time. Well, he said that these are really concerning to him because he knows that they actually have the ability to be used with a wavelength something called a puke ray, or an LED incapacitator. So he said they can look just like the blue and the purple LED, because I don't know if anyone's bought these LED strip lights where you can change the color with a remote control. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're multicolored. Anyway, he said that's the same thing. They can be triggered to change their colors and their frequency. So how does this work on a human? Well, they've been using it at the border control on illegal immigrants, supposedly, in other areas. So they can instantly have facial recognition, say this person is an illegal immigrant, or maybe they are violating something. Whatever the facial recognition is determining that you're not a good person, that you need to be stopped. He said it would work in a millisecond. You wouldn't have time to even draw out a gun. He said then the frequencies could be changed at such a fast rate that the intracranial pressure would increase at such a rate that you would get nauseated, and usually you puke. Your vision would be disoriented. You'd just be disabled. They claim that once it stops, that you could regain your ability to walk and see within minutes, but there's been discrepancy. He says, no, that's not true. Not always does that work. Why he's concerned is because he says these particular lights that have been going up, he said, can be used for that. And he said he's concerned because he also knows that they're all connected, like within their own intranet. They communicate with each other, and that it's designed for AI to ultimately control it. Meaning, he says, right now, our facial IDs are our digital IDs. And he said, there's only one reason to put these lights up, only one. He said, it's to harm humans. And he said, who's going to control that facial recognition? Who's going to control when that wavelength goes out, that frequency goes out? So he's put an alarm call out. He's trying to get people to understand that we need to talk to our sheriffs, our city councils, and inform them what these are, because he says they don't even know what they are. But, this is something that I could see harming us sooner than later. They have, of course, their facial recognition. They have ability to do sound, so low frequency sound, which can affect us. Of course, location, the lights, etc. So the point is, this is something that's tangible, that we can see, that is going up, that can harm us. And through just without us even having a true digital ID, like we're worried about with the vaccine injections. So it's something that I think we all need to be aware of and look at, start looking around, start talking to people, start educating. This is something I really believe in. It's a frequency war, and this is another tool that they can use, and they can just blame AI if something's launched. So it's something that I'm seeing go forward faster and faster, and you see these blue LED lights. He did say that in the cars, especially, something like a Tesla car, the blue LED lights can communicate one car with another. They already are doing that, even if you don't have a Tesla. If you see that blue LED light, the headlamps, he said they have a way of communicating with each other. So it's being aware of what's happening around us and educating, and not using digital devices as much. He's saying that the facial recognition is everywhere, but trying not to use these devices as much, especially with children. And he's saying because not only can they be used as weapons, but it's also influencing us through optogenics. So for instance, with children, and they have certain learning devices or certain learning programs in the schools, and they know they can use the optogenics, the light impulses, to affect their neurotransmitters. So increase dopamine, for instance. And so your child is being geared, and it looks like a harmless little program. They're being geared and modified, what gives them pleasure, what gives them stimulation, etc. It's something that we need to look at, because they're also using this kind of technology with something called social bonds. This is the last thing I'll bring up, and I'm done. So social bonds, they're already trading us on the stock market. They're looking at the rate of change in a certain group of people. So they usually use this with inner city children. So they look at an inner city child and say, well, they have X percentage of success at going to college, let's say. So they bet. They say, I bet that I can use these certain interventions through optogenics, through neuromodulation. I can get this group of children to have a 50% or 100% more success of going to college. And so they start using these modifiers without the parents knowing or the children knowing they're doing this. And then they have stocks on us. They trade us. The problem with this is manyfold, right? So they're doing this without your knowledge, but then also the AI program's learning about how can I affect a human's behavior. So these are newer things in the market. I think we talk about medicine a lot. We talk about health and being well, but I think we're forgetting something that all of us were never taught about, was frequency. And they can use it through light and sound, digital devices, and then looking up and seeing these lights and educating people about it.